Good morning, people. How are we all today? I hope we're all fine. Last one of the week. As you know, I don't broadcast at the weekend unless it's a short or a cafe review. I've no plans on doing any of that this weekend, although you never know. You never know what might come up. Anyway, let's have a quick look, see who's in. Shall we? I see Lorna's there. I see Freedom for Scotland's there. Tina Chalmers in Dundee. Martin the Hibby, who are in Leith, I think, or Portobello. Mark, Desiree up there where she thinks it's going to start snowing shortly in the Highlands. Morning, Ewan. I see Mel's there. Good morning, Christina. We're there in Fife. Leipzig, Sandy, Mark Telfer, Kirsty Foggs, Scott Haynes there in Lanark. Aki's down in Hamilton. Stephen, Stephen's in Fife. Sonny Methil. Martin Boyd, my neighbour, down there in Holy Town. Good morning, Martin. I'll be passing through Holy Town in about an hour and 10 minutes' time. After I've picked up a dragon for work, we're heading to Bells Hill to get some shopping. Good morning, Reagan Elite. Had a fun time on your show last night, young fella. Folks, Reagan Elite says shows up right after mine this morning, where you'll get the news from a very English perspective. Which was interesting last night because when we were having some of the discussions, I had to interject and say, you've got to remember that I'm living in a different country, different culture, different point of view. So it's always fascinating to have a cultural exchange with our neighbours. Fantastic people. Really fantastic people. Doesn't change the fact that they keep voting for fucking idiots, but they're still nice people. And after the show last night, I spent about an hour talking with Graham Price for Power to the People, fella for Liverpool. We've got a lot in common. Maybe do a collaboration at some point. We were talking about that last night. Because there is some truth in the saying that people for Glasgow and Liverpool have more in common than that people for Liverpool have got with the rest of the people in England. There is a bit of truth to that. Graham and I went into that a wee bit last night. Anyway, let's see who else is in. Morning, Pierre. Morning, Hootsman. Morning, Margaret. Morning, John. Morning, Barbara. Right, good morning, me. Morning, Graham. Right, let's get this one underway, shall we? Cindy Truck Davy out the truck nut home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is clear at the moment, 6 degrees, the sun's out. Well, I see our moderators banged in with a couple of quid. Well done, Huey. Thank you. Thanks, bro. You're a good lad. Hi, Hammy. Anyway, where were we? Hi, it's 6 degrees, clear at the moment. No rain in the forecast. High today, 7 degrees. Humidity is at 70%, so the air's a wee bit drier today, folks. And wind speed between 14 and 27 miles an hour, and the pollen count Disney count. Okay, let's get this one underway this morning, shall we? And we'll start off today with the Rancid and the Sun, which I don't put up, so I'll tell you what's in them. First up this morning is the Daily Rancid, the Unionist Rag, that's sponsored by the Labour Party. Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you very much. It all counts, it all goes towards the good causes, folks, as you know. Right, so what's the Rancid tell us? Well, the Rancid tells us that gangland killing on camera executed, and it's got a picture of a gunman standing in front of a Vauxhall Vivaro van, blue one, pointing a gun at something. All caught on CCTV. Mental. Right, next up we've got Scum. It's on the same story, and it's got hired hitman, killed Hood, the Chicago way. No, I didn't bother arse looking up the Chicago way. I dare say it's a drive-by shooting type thing. I'm not exactly quite sure. But to be fair, none of us live in that world as far as I know, so we really don't care. If the Hoods want to knock each other off, saves a fortune on paying for them to stay in prison. Simple as that. No world I want to get involved in, no world I'll ever be involved in. Now let's move on to the serious newspapers, shall we? First up this morning, the Scotsman. And the Scotsman has spike in flu cases sparks vaccine plea. I don't know what the fuck that's all about. When they need to plea for your vaccine, just phone your local surgery and it's sorted. In fact, Mr. Milligan went out and got his last week. I think it was last week. Getting a vaccine for flu or COVID isn't difficult. Pick up the phone. Speak to your surgery. You'll get an appointment to go and see the nurse. And the jab will be administered. No biggie. I don't know what this fucking paper's on about. Well, right, let's get rid of that brag. And get on to the next one, which is the Herald. What's the Herald got for us this morning? Funding alert over threat to future of renewables. I thought, a funding alert, the threat to renewables. What's this all about? Well, to be honest with you folks, it's about the Westminster government not taking the cheap route and putting up wind turbines and utilising the offshore space for power generation. The Labour government in England has decided that nuclear is the future. Costly, expensive, polluting, but that's the future. They've even got GB Energy looking at Scotland for where they could put nuclear reactors in Scotland, even though the Scottish government and the Scottish people, unless you're talking to the energy sector itself, are fundamentally opposed to it. When you look at the people who are involved in the energy sector here in Scotland, and I have, 52% of them would like nuclear in the mix. But the general populace, meaning you and I, Joe Bloggs, who don't work in the industry, we don't want nuclear at all. Why would we take a chunk of land and put it out of commission for 400 fucking years after we've had a nuclear reactor on it for 30? Makes no fucking sense. Why would you pollute your land like that? But as I say, the Labour government in England has decided that nuclear is the future rather than renewables. Renewables are cheap, quick, easy to install, easy to erect, and clean. You can fire up a 16 to 18 turbine wind farm in 26 weeks. It takes years to build a nuclear facility. And on top of that, you've got all the pollution and the cost involved. Doesn't make any sense, but the Labour government in England has decided the way forward for the United Kingdom is nuclear rather than the cheaper solar and wind energy options. Storage, yes, it's a problem, but it's not a big problem. There are many, many ways in which we can store electricity. For example, a wind turbine, while it's turning, could be winding a spring underneath it, which could then be locked in place. And when the wind stops blowing, you can release the power for the spring to turn the generator at the top. There's battery power banks. There's all sorts of ways of storing it. But nuclear isn't the future. Hey, Davey, did you know that watching you live qualifies as watching TV live and requires you to have a BBC licence? No, I didn't know that, fool bar, but it's not going to make any fucking difference to me. I didn't know that. Right, let's move on for the Herald and the Westminster government's stupid plan for energy going forward. So that's what the Herald's on about nuclear being the future. Next up, we've got the Daily Fail. What's it got this morning? And the Daily Fail has got the story of the young lady we were talking about yesterday in First Ministers. I'm proof that young girls were abused by grooming gang rapists in Scotland, and there should be, according to this, an inquiry. Well, guess what, young lady? The reason why you're no longer being groomed and passed around by a grooming gang is because Police Scotland did its job and arrested the people who groomed you. The interesting thing about grooming gangs, though, folks, is it's in the name, grooming. They take young people and they give them incentives to pass over their bodies. It's called grooming. What this young lady could have done was told somebody. And obviously she did, because they were arrested. The answer to grooming gangs is no inquiry. It's for the people who are being groomed to realise they're being groomed and to report it. And that requires education. This young lady obviously wasn't educated in the dangers of getting involved with people who are giving them free things, sweeties, drugs, drink, and eventually using them. Doesn't require an inquiry, it requires education. And the Grooming Gang Task Force here in Scotland is managing fine. But as John Swinney said, he'll have a look at the work of the Grooming Gang Task Force since it was set up back in the late 80s and look at prior cases and current cases and decide whether an inquiry should come from there. But obviously the Grooming Gang Task Force works because this young lady, the people who committed the crimes of grooming and abusing this young lady were caught and prosecuted. That's what the Grooming Gang Task Force does. But if John and the Scottish Government look at it and say there should be an inquiry, then so be it. But you're no proof, young lady, that a Grooming Gang inquiry is required. You're proof that Police Scotland's Grooming Gang Task Force works. That's what you're proof of. Next up, we've got the other loony rag, the Express. What's it got for us this morning? Friends claim Sarah Ferguson's poised to move to Eugenie's £3.6 million Portugal villa. Fergie said to flee UK over Epstein's scandal. Bye, Fergie. Don't let the door hit your arse on the way out. You vile creature. You knew your man was a fucking paedophile. And you accepted money from the man who was supplying your husband with underage children. Sickos. Down with the crown. Next up, we've got the Times. And this one's got a cracking headline at the top of it. Scottish Parliament has been a backward step for democracy, says local council, ex-Tory council chief of Stirling. Now, he bemoans the fact that the Scottish Parliament took powers from the local authorities. Well, guess what? Thank fuck. As for it being a backward step for democracy, it might have been a backward step in the eyes of Douglas Alexander and the Brit Nat Labour Party. But for us, the people of Scotland, it's been a massive step forward. For a start, we've got a new social contract with the government. We don't pay prescription fees. That would never have disappeared under a local council authority. We've had an 11-year council tax fucking freeze. That would never have happened under a local authority or the Scotland office, who was responsible for the local authorities back then. The road tolls have disappeared. That would never have happened under a local authority. There's no peak rail fares. That would never have happened under a local authority. And let's go back to council tax a minute. The average Band D council tax bill in England, £2,171. The average Band D council tax here in Scotland, £1,300. And that includes water and wastewater. So let's take Davies House, for example. I pay £1,210 a year. £446 of that is actually my water bill. So my council tax bill is only actually £700 odd a year. In England, the same house, £2,171 plus a £600 water bill on top. A local authority in Scotland would never have done that. And of course, if we didn't have a Scottish Parliament right now, our water would be privatised and full of shite. Our waterways would be full of shite. So, the local authorities might have lost a wee bit of power. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't lose enough. We should have taken social care and education out their fucking hands as well. The local authorities should be left with nothing but cutting fucking grasses, painting fucking fences and maintaining social housing. That's all the local authorities in Scotland should have any power of. So with 5.4 million is, I'm beginning to see Mr. Milligan's point here. Things like education, social care should all be centralised at Holyrood. The only thing the council should be doing is fixing fucking potholes, painting fucking fences, and cutting fucking grass. So, no, the Scottish Parliament hasn't been a backward step for democracy. It's been a fucking huge leap forward for democracy here in Scotland. And some Tory ex-councillor, Brit, Nat and fucking Stirling could say, oh, it was bad for my council. Oh, they fucking want. It was good for the people. The local authorities under the Scotland office weren't good for the people. The local authorities under the Scotland office wouldn't have done away, as I say, with prescription charges, tuition fees, wouldn't have frozen fucking council tax, wouldn't have fucking done out, introduced a baby box, wouldn't have done away with road tolls, peak rail fares. A local authority would not have been able to do any of those things. The inception of the Scottish Parliament made these things possible. It made it possible for us to divert away and enter into a better social contract with the people of Scotland than the people of England have with the Westminster government. That's what happens when you bring government home. The outcome is better for the people on the ground because decisions have been made by the people on the ground. And I'm very proud to be part of the party that delivered all these things I'm talking about. The 10-year, 11-year council tax freeze, doing away with tuition fees, getting rid of prescription charges, introducing a baby box, making women's hygiene products free, getting rid of road tolls, getting rid of peak rail fares. The list goes on and on and on. And the savings that the Scottish Government have put money back in people's pockets are massive. For example, me, on council tax and water alone, I am £1,200 a year better off than what I'd be if I lived across the border. That's just in council tax and water charges alone. I am £1,200 a year better off. Throw in all the rest of these things, like no having to pay for prescription charges, no peak fares on railways, no road tolls. Add it all up, folks, and the inception of the Scottish Parliament has saved the Scottish people thousands of pounds a year. So no, it hasn't been bad for democracy. And reform to drive away asylum shoppers. The business is not doing bad enough. No, they're not to sell to asylum seekers. Is that what that says? No, apparently it's not what it says. What it says is they're going to introduce a Denmark-style immigration system. I can't say I'm an expert on the Denmark style of immigration, but what I do know is it takes about 10 years to get the right to settle. Even if I was to go there as somebody who was going there to work on a work visa and I applied to remain, it would take at least 10 years to get the right to settle. Right, which, by the way, this thing and all with immigration, once again, it's Scotland and Wales an afterthought. An absolute afterthought. We need immigration. And what Westminster has done is to make sure that we can only get immigration from one place, and the people for that one place, when they get here, vote against our interests. They vote in their own interests. And they're the people for England, which is the only place where we can get immigration from. England, Wales and Northern Ireland. And when they get here, they all vote for fucking cuckoos in the nest, and they vote against the interests of the people of Scotland while taking advantage of all these things I've just spoke about the Scottish Government haven't given us in our social contract. They'll take that, but they'll still vote against their interests. And the system is rigged deliberately for that reason. Westminster doesn't want people coming here who would vote for their interests and ours. They want people coming here that are going to vote for their interests and against ours. Them's the fucking facts. So all that shit about immigration, problem is, for Westminster, the English people don't want more immigrants. But the Scottish people do. Will they devolve immigration? Will they fuck? So our economy is to be strangled. Or we can import people from England to vote against our best interests. Guess what one Westminster's opted for? You fucking got it. We need people, they have to come from England or Wales or Northern Ireland, and they vote against our interests. Next up, we've got a Tory graph. Let's see what this piece of shite's got this morning. Second Trump clip doctored by BBC. Well, it looks like the Telegraph is going all out to end the BBC. And it's given Trump ammunition to attack the BBC. And apparently Trump's legal team is looking at the BBC and says that they serially denigrate Trump and his character. Now, apparently the BBC are going to apologise to Trump today for doctoring that video, which they should do. But they're also going to tell him, no, we're not giving you £1 billion. Will Trump sue? Let's hope so. Because as I was speaking about last night on Reagan and Wheat's programme, the BBC means different things to different people in different countries in this United Kingdom. And here in Scotland, it means an institution which belittles and undermines the people of Scotland's confidence and its achievements. Every morning we get up, we put our radio on, the BBC tells us how shite everything is, and how shite we are, how shite our children are, how shite Scotland is, and how incapable we are of managing our own country. Thanks, Alistair, you're a star. You're all stars, actually. You really are. So the BBC means different things in different parts of the UK. It might be a beloved institution south of the border, but here north of the border, it's a mental health risk putting on the BBC. Because to be told repeatedly for as long as you've been alive that you're shite, your country's shite, your institutions are shite, your education system's shite, and you're shite, is a hard thing to have to live with. So the BBC means different things in different parts of this United Kingdom. And here in Scotland, it means a propaganda outlet which denigrates the people of Scotland. Always. Okay, from morning to night. So whereas it might be a beloved institution in certain parts of England, in Wales and Northern Ireland, here it's a hated institution. Do you know, people in Scotland, we just don't pay the fucking licence fee. We just don't. Why? Because Macy's don't put BBC on. Even the unionists don't watch it. Even the unionists get sick of being told that they're shite and that their country's shite. Even the unionists get sick of it. Right, let's move on to the Tory graph. Look there a page, David. And after the Tory graph, we have the National. So let's get the National up. What's the National vote for us this morning? Oh, that's a fucking Guardian. Where did the National go? Oh, sorry, it should be the Guardian next. Sorry about that, folks. My fault. The Guardian. Let's get the Guardian up. What does it tell us this morning? It tells us BBC apologised to Trump over Panorama but reject $1 billion claim. Well, as far as I know, he hasn't actually went to court, went and filed a case yet to sue the BBC. Will he? We can always hope so. We can always hope so. Because like the Tory graph, I would like to see a fucking end to the BBC in this country. I'd like to see an end to fucking Westminster in this country and all. But I'd like to see the BBC go. I'd like to see it go now. And people, you might not know this, but David Milligan and I and Graham Bell up in Inverness, Ronnie, Mitch and Bill, we all did protests outside the BBC. Some organised by others, some organised by us. The BBC is bad for our mental health here in Scotland. And my advice would be, switch it off. I might have to listen to it for 6 a.m. till I come on here to get a grip of how they're denigrating Scotland each day. Right in front of our fucking faces. And telling us how crap we are every day. So let's hope Trump sues them for fucking multiple billions and it goes under as an organisation. Sorry, people of England, I don't give a fuck. Your BBC's nothing more than a propaganda machine. And if you look into it as well and look at regional TV in England, you will realise the same thing's fucking happening to yous. Right, down with the Guardian and up with the National. I say the BBC might be a beloved institution elsewhere, but it's fucking hated here. Right, MSPs grill legal experts on indirect routes. What was interesting about that was a Professor Adam Tomlinson, ex-Tory MSP. He tells the committee, just get the people on side and do it. Fuck Westminster. When you said, is that not the guy that went up, was part of leading up Better Together? And here he's telling MSPs in the committee, just get the people behind you and tell Westminster to get fucked. There's nothing they can do about it. Scotland's constitutional expert, Tory, ex-Tory MSP and Better Togetherist Adam Tomlinson tells the Scottish Parliament, just fucking do it. There's nothing they can do about it. You couldn't make it up. You really couldn't. But to be fair, yeah, we had the three on the panel. I can't mind what the female constitutional expert name was, but with McCarg, Tom McCarg, Adam Tomlinson, and I can't mind who the other one was. And Tom McCarg and Adam Tomlinson just tell Holly, just get fucking on with it. There's nothing they can do about it. So it was an interesting debate, to say the least. But when you've got two of the top constitutional experts in Scotland telling the Scottish Parliament, just tell Westminster to fuck off and go on with it. I thought that was quite funny. Whereas you get one sitting there arguing, oh no, you need permission, oh no, you need permission. Ex-MSP, no, we fucking don't. Professor of Constitutional Matters, no, you fucking don't. It was hilarious. Right, next up we'll get Metro. What's the Metro got? 84 in and 113 out since Labour's swap with France. By the way, mind this, a pilot scheme. It comes to the end next year. It's only a 1 year pilot programme. Anyway, in the period it's been running, according to AI, 50,000 have come in. And Starmer's also accepted in 84 in exchange for 113 out. So 113 out, 84 in plus 50,000. 1 in, 1 out is certainly fucking isn't, is it? So the actual title that they've put on this scheme, 1 in, 1 out, is a lie. And that's indicative of the sort of people who are in that parliament doing that road. Just fucking liars. And they're lying to people. 1 in, 1 out. 84 in, 113 out. That's no counting the 50,000 that's come out of small boats. Just a corrupt institution is Westminster. A corrupt institution is the BBC, as we see with the doctored footage of politicians. Here in Scotland it's common. There seems to be a bit of shock about it in England. Yeah, well. Right, down with the Metro. For some reason we don't have the eye this morning. Aye, we do have. We'll get it. What's the eye go for us this morning? For some reason I missed that one. The eye has. UK to unveil stricter new Denmark-style laws for immigration. And of course, once again, Scotland's an afterthought. Fuck the jocks. Fuck what their economy needs, even though at this point in time it's their economy. Our economy, Scotland's economy, which is keeping this fucking bankrupt island afloat. There's more tax take per capita for the people of Scotland than there is for the people of England. Simple as that. Including charges on the electricity we generate, charges for oil and gas, tax on oil and gas. And then, of course, there's the fact that we have more people in employment here per capita than what they have down that road. With unemployment running at 5% in England and 3.7%, a whole 1.3% better here in Scotland. Which is massive. It's a massive amount. Absolutely massive amount. But once again, as I say, when it comes to immigration, Scotland's an afterthought. We've only get our immigrants from one place, and that's next door. And when we get them from next door, they come here and they vote against the interests of the Scottish people. Simple as that. Them's the facts, and that's the way it's set up. The game's rigged, folks. The game's rigged, and it's all rigged in our favour. Now, to my English viewers today, I'm sorry that some of these truths have to come out. But the day, that's your government. That's who you vote for, who's oppressing the people of Scotland. Right, that's done with the I, and that means it's time to put the iPad away. And that's spelled AYE because we don't want copyright infringement. And it's also a notepad YouTube, right? Right, that just leaves us the sun to put up. So let's get the sun. Sorry, the star. I said that yesterday, no, the sun for some reason. The star. Now, what does the star tell us? Andy's ex waves goodbye to UK, fair go off and don't come back. Fair statement. She was taking money for the guy that was providing her husband with children to have sex with. And this woman had 2 children, 2 daughters, to a man for a taste, with a man who's got a taste for wee girls. Huh? No wonder she left him. No wonder she left him. To be fair, that's what the Supreme Court said as well. Just get on with it without the Holyrood constraints. No Section 30 on Indy. Absolutely right. Just go for it. Just have it. And last briefing, does anyone know if there has been any medical institutions looked into the mental health issues linking the constant berating of the media to the Scots? Well, I don't know about them, but somewhere out there you'll find a speech I did outside the BBC. It's on Independence Live somewhere, where I explained how the BBC was bad for the mental health of the people of Scotland and how people should shut it down. You don't need your children to get up and sit at the breakfast table getting ready to go to school to hear that their schools are shite and they're shite. You don't need your children to hear that everything's rubbish and useless and crap. It's bad for their mental health. It gives them an inferiority complex for the minute they start their day. The BBC is bad for the mental health of the people of Scotland. And I say I did a speech outside the BBC about it. Whether any medical institution has taken a look at that speech and went, hey, we better do some background work into this. I don't know. But, as I say, the BBC is bad for the mental health of the people here in Scotland. And Freedom for Scotland, the Constitutional Committee is on your YouTube channel. Well, there you go, folks. Freedom for Scotland's YouTube channel. Apparently, he's got the committee there. The committee meeting there. So there you go. There you have it. It'd be an interesting one if you've not seen it. Okay, folks. Thanks very much for tuning in again today in such high numbers. Thank you very much for your super chats. As you know, the money all goes to food banks. And as a community, I have to say, you have done amazing things over the last 3 years. And allowed David and I to do amazing things on your behalf, which has been a pleasure. And we'll keep doing it. And we'll keep doing it till this battle's won. And Scotland is free. And up until then, we'll be at the grind, we'll have our shoulder to the wheel, and we'll be shoving on this platform and all the other outlets that we have. So, there's an election coming, folks. We need to win it. Eyes on the prize. Eyes on the prize. Now, you guys have a great weekend. And it's a great week take a well-earned break. I am going to. And very soon, probably the other side of the year, I'll take a week off because this place needs decorated. And Madam Director's starting to get really bloody annoyed about it. It's been relentless, guys. You know, I've been doing this day in, day out for 9 years now. With a short break when Facebook shut me down, and then David created this YouTube channel. But it's 9 years for daily shows. It's a lot. You guys have a nice weekend. And I'll see you on Monday morning, 10:30. Don't be late, or you'll be on the bloody naughty step, which is, as you know, just over my shoulder there.